Welcome back, everyone. I'm Jason, and you're watching Jason Jensen Trains. Well, I want to start off by saying that my harbor scene is not yet completed. And I know that I'd mentioned before that I wanted to complete this before I moved on. But I have just been so excited to get running some trains. And as most of you know, in the last episode, we talked about painting track. Well, in this episode, we're going to lay down some of that track, and then we're also going to work on this bridge. And I'm going to show you how I've made it removable so that I can walk back in here and work on all of this. And we're going to work on this bridge back here also. Now, you may have noticed that I have some wood trestles back here. These are from my previous layout, and I don't know if these over here will stay or not. This one will definitely stay because we have track that runs up on this level, and we'll talk about that later. All right, well, very exciting episode. So let me show you how I've gotten to this point so that we can start running some trains. So I'm working on the bridge, and this is the deck. Now you can see I have two metal rods that will support it, and they are 3 feet long. And you can see they run the entire length. Now, a standard piece of flex track is exactly 3 feet long. So I took out the ties in the middle where the deck's going to go. So now we'll just simply glue the rails to the deck. So I just glued the rails to my deck, and I used Loctite super glue. With Loctite, you have a few seconds before it sets up. So I put the glue on the bottom side of the rail and then flipped it over and laid it onto my deck. I then used my standard gauge HO track gauge. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but there's little prongs at the bottom, and that is the distance that your track needs to be apart. So I just ran that along it, making sure that it was even all the way through the entire length. Then I use my test car and make sure that it runs smooth on it. I love this car. Have to say thank you to Jimmy and Jeff who gave me this. Jimmy owns railroadkits.com and Jeff owns carolinacraftsmankits.com. So be sure to check out those websites. Again, it's railroadkits.com and carolinacraftsmankits.com. So I'm using the same exact techniques as I did on the ties. And now I'm just doing some sponging over it, just like I showed on the ties. And I also have been doing using a black wash and putting some streaks on it and really staining the ends of the wood. So now I just need to simply put glue on the bottom of my decking and then slide it all the way through, and I'll put some weights on it. I'll slide it through quick so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so there it is. Again, I'll now need to glue this in, but it's basically what it's going to look like. Okay, so everything is glued in place. I actually used liquid nails to glue the deck to the bridge. So I simply put a bead of liquid nails on both sides of the bottom, put it in sideways, then laid it down and put weights on it and let it dry overnight. I then cut a piece of cardboard for each end, and this is just a template. I will take this out, transfer it to my piece of plastic, and then put that in there because we're going to glue ballast and dirt and some weeds and grass on the edges. We'll fully scenic this, and the cardboard would get wet and warp where the plastic won't. So, and you may be asking, well, why didn't you just cut the track at the end and also cut the metal rods under here? I don't know if you can see them, but the metal rods to the edge. Well, the rods are 3 feet long from Home Depot, and the track, the piece of track that sits on here, is exactly 3 feet long. So I thought, rather than cut anything and risk not having things line up, I'll just leave the track at 3 feet long, leave the 2 metal rods underneath 3 feet long, and it gives me more support for the entire bridge to rest on the rest of the layout. So again, I'll trace this onto the plastic, then I can slightly lift the track, put that under there, and I did the same on the other end. And again, we'll put our ballast and some scenery material on there. That way, when the bridge gets set down in place on the layout, this will just match up to the scenery that's on there, and you'll never know. Okay, so here is our finished bridge. And again, we have the extra pieces, the overhang, and those fit right here. Now, I carved this out with my Dremel tool. Then I put 2 layers of chipboard in there. And chipboard is, it's not cardboard, it's not wood, it's somewhere in between. It's really sturdy, and like I said, I put 2 layers in there, so it's very solid. It's not going anywhere, and I did that on this side too. Now these overhang pieces, they will fit in there, and let me show you. In theory, this is how it'll work. So this is the section that is the overhang, And eventually I will put a small wire, I'll solder it to the bottom of the rail. It'll then come down and get soldered to a plate. Then there will be a matching plate right here that sits on top of that chipboard. It gets a feeder wire soldered to it that hangs down that will go to the bus wire. And then I'll do the same on the other end of the bridge. So when you lower the bridge and it's resting in place, those two plates will line up and touch each other and make contact. And that will power the entire bridge. So a lift out bridge really is not that difficult to do. Let me show you now. I'll see if I can do this. Okay, so there it is in place. And for now, I'll put these little rail joiners on there and then slide it. After I put it in place, I'll slide them over so that it connects, just for now. And like I said, I will replace this cardboard with plastic. And the styrofoam has to be cut down, and there's little shoes that get put on there that the actual bridge rests on. But for now, I cut it the exact height so that it sits right on the styrofoam. I know that some of the viewers may have a hard time with this long bridge and not having a support in the center. Being an artist, I felt this was a very unique solution that allows me to get back in here and do work in the future. As far as the electrical and soldering wire, I suggest checking out the newest video from Ron's Trains and Things. Ron does an excellent job showing you how to solder wire to track, and then how to then take those wires underneath the layout and attach them to the bus wires. Incredible video. It's his newest one, so be sure to check out Ron's Trains and Things. Okay, so that was a lot. Oh my gosh, a lot of major work to get that done and put into place. As you can see, I've got a train sitting here. And last night I did put rail joiners on there, and I ran my train over it just to make sure that it was level, that there was no sag in it, and that it ran smooth, and it did. So I'm very pleased with it. Okay, so we have another bridge over here, and this one is a steel bridge. So you can see I've cut my styrofoam. And then coming out of the brick here, I'm going to have two very large drain pipes with water coming out. And then there will be rock that maybe starts maybe right here, and the rock will go up and possibly up onto here. So I've got plaster, walls that need to be cut. And put into place. I think I'm going to extend this out and have this come out straight and put a plaster wall right there so that it matches this side. There'll be a plaster wall that goes there. And then I'll match it over here. And then probably, haven't decided yet if I'll do stone wall along here or what that'll look like. But that's where we're at so far. Again, here is the track plan. So the steel bridge that I just showed you is right here. And then the double wood bridge is right there. So it goes over a small bridge here. It'll go into a tunnel for just a little bit and then come out of the tunnel over here, because all this goes uphill, and so the whole back side of this will be covered. There'll be access from the end over here. Now the green track will sit up on here. So it'll go and loop and come back over and go off to this direction. I know that this is a very simple track plan, but this allows me to focus on my true passion in the hobby, which is structure building and then scenery work. This is my third layout, and my first layout had so much track, tons of switching. It was great for operating. I quickly became very bored with it. I did not leave much room for structures or much scenery. My second layout, I cut way back on the track, which allowed me to do more scenery work. But then I found myself really most of the time just watching the trains run on it. Even when people would come over to the house and visit the layout, it was just watching trains run through scenes. So I've gone extremely simple with this. The wall behind me will be industry, and there will be a lot more switching in that area. And then it goes into the big city, and underneath the city will be the subway. I have found for myself that it is easiest to cut rail using a Dremel tool with a cutoff disc on the end. It cuts through the rail very easily, and it makes a nice, clean, smooth cut. We'll talk about that more in the next episode. We'll go over cutting rail and then laying the track, especially on a curve, and we'll talk about staggering the joints so that it doesn't kink. It's so exciting to see trains running again. Well, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and be sure to click on that bell up in the corner to be notified when I upload new videos. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I really want to say thank you to everyone that takes the time to leave a comment on the videos. I really appreciate it. I love hearing from all of you. Well, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy modeling, everyone.